Okay, so we finally finished 3 financial statements. So how about last one? Last one is about your statement of cash flows. So for statement of cash flows, what kind of information we want to provide? Cash, cash, and the cash. So for your statement of cash flow, we want to provide only about the cash. So how you got the cash, how you pay the cash. So the only one information about the cash. But don't worry about this one because so far you don't understand how to get the number. It's quite hard for you to get the number right now. So this chapter about statement of cash flow is on your last chapter. So after the whole year, then you will know how to get the numbers. So that's why right now I just ask you to prepare the first 3 financial statements. You don't need to prepare the last one because you don't know how to get the number. Okay? So that's all 4 financial statements we have. So just want to remind you on your slide 135. We have 4 financial statements, right? So first one, statement of comprehensive income. What kind of information we want to provide? Profit. So for this year, how many profit your company make? For second one, statement of change in equity. What kind of information we want to tell you? Shareholders' right in the company, okay? For statement of cash flow, what kind of information we want to tell you? Cash, cash, and the cash, okay? Then for our third one, statement of financial position, balance sheet. What kind of information we want to tell you? The company's value. So there's 4 financial statements provide you 4 different kind of informations. But for these 4 financial statements, want to remind you that only balance sheet, the numbers on balance sheet is your ending balance. So that's the last day, how many assets your company have, how many liability your company have, okay? So for your balance sheet, we just mentioned, right? For your balance sheet, all the numbers on balance sheet are our ending balance, 期末余额, right? So remember, that's the difference for balance sheet. So for balance sheet, all the numbers on balance sheet is ending balance.期末余额. Okay? Then how about the numbers on your statement of comprehensive income? Remember, the amount on your first financial statement. Statement of comprehensive income is about what? For this year, this period. Okay? And for your statement of change in equity, shareholders' right in the company. So what kind of amount we have? We told you beginning, change, and ending. So we told you beginning, balance, and what happened this year, change. Then you got ending balance. Okay, any questions? So that's it. That's our purpose. So after the whole process, finally, we achieve our purpose. Prepare for financial statements. So right now, you should understand how to read company's financial statements by yourself and what kind of information you can get. Any questions? Okay. So we finished chapter 3 already. So far, remember, we base on what? Adjusted trial balance. Use the data to prepare our first financial statement of comprehensive income. After that, we prepare the second one, statement of change in equity. Then we use the data from second one to prepare our statement of financial positions. Okay? Last one, don't worry about that. That's your last chapter of the whole year. So you're not ready to prepare yet. Okay? So all the process we have, remind you, from chapter 1 to chapter 3, what have we done? We first analyze transaction, figure out the transaction's effect, right? Make your company's asset increase, decrease. After you understand the effects, we record the effects on 2 accounting books, right? First is journal, second is T account ledger. Okay, after that, we do the first double check trial balance. Any questions? That's from your chapter 1 and chapter 2. How about chapter 3? We find out 10% transactions we haven't recorded yet. So right now in chapter 3, we use adjusting entries to record their 10% transactions. And don't forget, accounting, we always keep the records on 2 accounting books, journal and ledger. After that, we should be very careful. Why? All the numbers are your money. So how could you make sure the numbers, your monies are correct? So we do the second double check, adjusted trial balance, okay? Finally, adjusted trial balance, we got 100% correct. Then we could do what? Prepare our full financial statements, okay? So that's it. We finish all the process we need. Any questions? If you don't have any questions, then right now, based on the whole process, companies are more complicated. Companies do business, so the business still very complicated. So right now, based on this, we want to tell you one more transaction the company have. So one more transaction the company have is what? Sell the products. So far, when we record the transactions, we just focus on what? Provide the service, right? So we will tell you, when you provide the service, you earn what? Service revenue. But how about when your company sell the products? How we record it? Same logic, but more complicated. Why? Because you had the products. So when you had the products, that's more complicated than provide the service, okay? So based on this, we want to add one more transaction is sell the products. So that's why go to chapter 5, okay? Why we skip chapter 4? Chapter 4 is more about skills when you want to do accounting jobs. So I don't think you need it because there's more skills, not about the concepts. So we skip that part is okay. So go to chapter 5. It's more important for you guys. So chapter 5, we want to talk about what? Where we have more transactions. So what's the more transactions? When you want to sell the products. So chapter 5, did you find out? Accounting for merchandise operations. Merchandise, 买卖业. So what does it mean? Sell the products. We focus on this. Okay, so when your company sell the products, for this kind of transactions, how we keep the records for your company. When you are not provide the service, you sell the products. Okay? So since we talk about sell the products, what's the key role? What's the important part? Products, right? So in your slide, page 4, products, we call it inventory, 存货. So inventory, 存货 is your products. Also, we call it goods. Goods, products, inventory, totally the same. So when we talk about goods, products, inventory, we mean the same. So what's the purpose? You had the products. Of course, sell it to customers, right? So we have the products, we have the inventory. The only one purpose is sell it to customers. So that's why our purpose is what? Resell. 出售目的. So what does it mean? Sell it to customers. So remember, different assets have a different purpose. Could you, anyone tell me, what kind of assets its purpose is for yourself to use it, not sell? You use it. Anyone? For your extra point, Selena. Supplies and equipment and cash. Okay, so your assets like what? Equipment, like supplies. What's the purpose? You are going to use it, right? So you buy a car, you buy a laptop for what? You are going to use it. So different purpose. Inventory only for resale. That's our inventory. Okay. So for example, if today I told you your company, Apple company, you have 2 cars, you have a 2 laptop. So this is your laptop. This is a keyboard. You have a 2 laptop. If I told you, first one, A, you are going to sell it to customer for sale. B, company still need a laptop, computer to do their job, right? So B, you are going to use it. Used for work. Based on these 2, could you tell me A is your what? B is your what? Anyone? For your extra point. A laptop computer is your what? Shane, right? A is your inventory. B is your equipment. Okay? So for A, why? Because your purpose for sale. This is your inventory. For B, you are going to use it. Okay? So for your B, that's what? Equipment. Inventory and equipment, also both of them are your assets, but they are different, okay? Because they have a different purpose. So did you find out definition is more important? 2 computers, the same shape, same outlook, but they are totally different. Okay, any questions? So we talk about A, inventory. What's your purpose? You are going to sell it to customers. Okay? Then, oh Shane, before I forgot. For A and the B, I could told you, both of them are assets, right? But which one is your current asset? Which one is your non-current asset? So current asset means 流动资产。Non-current asset非流动资产。Okay, current means short term, means within 1 year. So current means less than 1 year. So non-current, what does it mean? More than 1 year. So A and the B, both of them are your assets. A is your inventory. B is your equipment. So what does it mean, assets? Provide you future economic benefit. So which one will provide you future economic benefit less than 1 year? Which one will provide you future economic benefit more than 1 year? In other words, which one you can get benefit more than 1 year? Which one you will get the benefit but less than 1 year? Anyone? You can guess it. It's okay. Wrong answer still got extra point. It's a good business, right? So anyway, Cindy. A is current asset. B is non-current asset. Yeah. A, inventory is your current asset. B, non-current asset is your equipment. Why? You can think about it. Equipment. How long usually you will use your laptop? 2 years, 5 years after you graduate, right? So you are going to use your laptop for how long? More than 1 year. So that's why your equipment is your long-term non-current assets because you expect to use it more than 1 year. Okay. So for your equipment, you expect to use it for example, 3 years. So did you find out how long you can get the benefit? More than 1 year. So you will get future benefit more than 1 year. Okay, so that's why it's non-current assets, means long-term assets. long term 长期。Okay, how about inventory? How long you expect to sell your inventory? As soon as possible, right? So I hope I could sell my products as soon as possible. So I hope I could sell my product next day, next 2 days, next 3 days, right? Because you sell more products, you earn more revenues, you make more profits. So more for your inventory, of course, we expect. You expect what? Sell it as soon as possible. Okay? So how long you can get the cash? As soon as possible. So less than 1 year. So you will get your future economic benefit. For example, cash. For example, cash. How long? As soon as possible. So less than 1 year. Okay, so that's why your inventory is what? Your current assets. Also, we call it what? Short-term assets. (短期) Okay, any questions? No problem. It's quite common words. We will talk about current asset, non-current asset, short-term, long-term, because you can expect how long you can get your future economic benefit, how long you can use that for your benefit. Okay? So based on this, I note my inventory is what? Inventory, 存货, is your current assets, right? Because you expect to get the cash or use up for how long? Within 1 year, less than 1 year. And for your current asset inventories, which financial statement you could find out your inventory? Anyone? Which financial statement you could find out inventory? Inventory is your assets. So which financial statement you could find out your assets? Balance sheet. Remember our third one, balance sheet told you asset, liability, equity. So balance sheet, okay? So you can find out the related information on your balance sheet, your third financial statement. Okay, any questions? So inventory for different company, they have a different product inventory, right? Like what? Apple company, their inventory include what? Apple Watch, AirPod, iPad, iPhone, right? BMW, their products inventory including what? Car, tire, wheels. 7-Eleven, what's the inventory 7-Eleven have? Drinks, cookie, right? So different company, they have a different kind of inventory, depends on what kind of company you are. Okay? So we focus on merchandising company, 买卖业. So what does it mean, merchandising company? You just do two things. What's that? You buy products and sell it directly. You don't do other things. You buy it and sell it directly. So that's merchandising company. You buy inventory and sell it directly. Okay? You don't do anything on the product inventory. So that's merchandising company. 买卖业. So how about manufacturing companies? 制造业. So what's the difference? Manufacturing company. You buy the raw materials. You will put the raw material into production process and come out your products. So you will buy raw materials, 材料. Okay? And put the raw materials into where? Production process. 制造过程. Okay? After that, you will come out your products. Okay, so that's manufacturing company. What does it mean? You will do some production process, then come out a new product. So that's totally different. So for manufacturing companies, it's more complicated. Why is that? Because you have production process. So you will get more complicated. Okay? So manufacturing company, we have production process. Then how about service company? Provide the service, right? So service company, you just provide the service. So do you have the inventory? Do you have the product for your service company? No, you don't have. You just provide the service, okay? So three kind of different companies. Depends on what you did, right? Maybe your company is merchandising company, 买卖业, or manufacturing company. But no matter your company is merchandising company or manufacturing company, do you have the product? Yes, right? So what's your purpose? In the end, you want to sell the product to customers. So could you tell me, when you sell the product to customers, you earn the revenue, right? So what we called sales revenue. So we have sales revenue. Why? Because you sell the products to earn your revenues. So that's why we call it sales revenue. Okay? Sell the product to earn revenue. How about service company? Provide a service, you earn the revenue. We call it service revenue. Okay? So sales, service told you. What did you do? Anyone could tell me for chapter 5, we talk about, actually not chapter 5. Good news to tell you. We have only 2 chapters for the whole semester left. Chapter 5 and chapter 6. So we expect to finish chapter 5 and chapter 6. Then we finish this semester. And for chapter 5 and chapter 6, they are related. We talk about inventory. So chapter 5 and chapter 6, these 2 chapters, we talk about inventory. Also, since we talk about inventory, we talk about first one or second one? First one is more simple. Second one too complicated. So we focus on first one. We buy inventory, sell inventory. That's it. Okay? Any questions so far? So that's our purpose for chapter 5 and chapter 6. If so far you don't have any questions, right now, merchandising company. When we try to know the company's net income profit, remember how to get profit? Revenue minus expenses, right? But right here we talk about merchandising company, sell the products to customers. So the revenue, we call it sales revenue, okay? How about expenses? Because of inventory, right now you have to learn another expense. So what's the another expense? For expenses, we classify into 2 major parts, 2 major items. First is cost of goods sold. Second is operating expense. Okay. First is cost of goods sold. Second is operating expenses. So this is 2 major expenses we have when we talk about sell the products. So totally difficult or new for you guys should be the first one, cost of goods sold. Operating expenses, actually, you learned that already for your chapter 1, 2, and 3. Any expenses you've learned from chapter 1, 2, and 3 belong to operating expenses. Okay? So we talk about how to get your net income when we consider more details for your merchandising company when you sell the inventory, okay? So for this basic formula, we extend it into this. So what's that? Revenues, we call it sales revenue, okay? Minus 2 expenses. First expenses, we call it cost of goods sold, is your first one. When we use sales revenue minus first expense, cost of goods sold, we got the gross profit. Gross profit is our subtotal, okay? We want to note after first expense, what's the profit we have so far? Then we minus second expenses. In the end, we will get our net income, our final profit, okay? So based on the quite simple formula, right now, we extend it into more completed formula for your inventory. So what's that? Your sales revenue minus your cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold is your first expense. Remember, this is your expense. Then we got gross profit. After that, we minus second one. Second expense is what? Operating expense. Okay, this is your second one. Then we got finally the final profit we have. Net income. This is your final profit. Okay? based on this, two new terms you don't understand. So what are these two new terms you don't understand and quite important in this chapter is cost of goods sold, totally new for you guys. And gross profit also is totally new for you guys. Others you've learned already. So you should understand what does it mean cost of goods sold, what does it mean gross profit. Any questions? But the concept still the same. What's the concept? Revenue minus expenses, you got net income, right? So still revenue minus expenses, we got net income. So the concept totally the same. But we use that when your company want to sell inventory. So let's go to operating expenses. It's more simple. So what does it mean? Your second one. Operating expenses. Operating expenses means this kind of expenses happened because of operating activities, 营业活动产生的. So you have expenses incurred because of operating activities, 营业活动. So what does that mean? Operating activities. You try to sell the products to earn the revenues, okay? So that's your operating activities. This kind of expenses incurred when you try to earn your sales revenues, okay? So in other words, you try to do the business with customers. Because of that, you have some expenses incurred. Do business with customers. Then you have some expenses incurred. Because nothing for free, right? So when you try to do business with customers, you have some expenses incurred. And this kind of expenses, any kind of expenses, except, first one, cost of goods sold. So except your cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold, 销货成本. Any kind of expenses except cost of goods sold. Okay? So exclude your first expense. Cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold. Others are operating expense. Okay? So any kind of operating expenses we've learned already. Any kind you've learned already. They are your operating expenses. For example, salaries and wages expense, rent expense, utility expense, insurance expense, supply expense, advertising expenses. All the expenses you've learned in chapter 1, 2, 3, they are your operating expenses. Why? In order to do the business with customers, you need to hire employees, right? So when you hire employees, you have to pay salaries and wages expense. When you try to do the business with customers, do you need to have the office? Yeah, you need to have the office. So you rent an office. When you rent an office, you have rent expenses. When you do business with customers, do you need to use the water, electricity? Yes, right? So that's why you have to pay utility expenses. When you do business with customers, still you have to buy some insurance. For what? Maybe for your employees, you have to buy the insurance. Maybe for your car, do you have to buy car insurance? Yes, right? So auto insurance. Still, you have to use supplies. Your pencil, your eraser, your papers. So you have supplies expenses, right? When you want to sell your more products, do you need to do some promotions? Yes, right? So we have advertising expenses. So did you find out when you try to do business, so many different kind of expenses incurred. All of them are your operating expenses, 营业费用. Okay? Any questions? No problem? Then let's go to our first expense. Very important. What's that? Cost of goods sold. Be careful. How to get cost of goods sold? On your slide 11, cost of goods sold, 销货成本 cost, C, cost of goods sold. That's why we use the abbreviation COGS. COGS means cost of goods sold, 销货成本. For this term, please think about this term into two parts. So what are these two parts? First three words is your part one. Cost of goods. So think about this, your part one. Sold. Think about this, your part two. Okay? Cost of goods sold, 销货成本. Part one, think about this cost of goods. Part two, sold. Okay? So let's look at part one. What does it mean? Cost of goods. Remember, what does it mean, goods? Your inventory, right? So cost of goods means what? Cost of inventory. Okay? So cost of goods means your cost of merchandise, means your cost of inventory. Merchandise means inventory. So they are the same. Also means what? Cost of inventory. Okay? So it means what? 存货成本. Right now, we just focus on part one, cost of goods. Cost of goods means cost of inventory, 存货成本. So it means what? When you try to get inventory, when you try to buy inventory, how much money you had to spend in order to buy the inventory, to get the inventory. So means the money you spent to buy, to acquire, to get your inventory. Okay? I want to buy the inventory. So how much money you spend to buy the inventory? 取得存货你要花多少成本? Okay? So cost of inventory, we talk about when you buy inventory, how much money you had to spend. So remember what kind of activity we did? Buy. So we talk about when we buy something. It's very important because later on we will talk about another term that you don't understand, because later on we talk about another term is when you sell. So that's totally different. Here, cost of inventory, when you buy inventory, how much money you had to spend. Okay, so please remember, buy. Okay, any questions? Take a break.